This is The Final Straw Radio, a weekly anarchist and anti-authoritarian radio show broadcasting out of occupied Salagi land in southern Appalachia. We bring you voices and perspectives from projects and struggles all around the world. Welcome to another podcast minisode. In this episode, a comrade spoke with Kijana Tashiri Askari, an imprisoned community organizer, prison abolitionist, and new Afrikan Black Revolutionary who helped to found the Nolen Mentorship Program. At one point in time, the mentorship program had about 50 prisoners nationwide on its mailing list. The Nolen Mentorship Program is named after a central leader in the formation of the California prisoner liberation movement, alongside George Jackson, during the 1960s and 70s. Kijana Tashiri spent over 2 decades in the Pelican Bay SHU, or Secure Housing Unit, and was instrumental in the development of the networks that sprung forth the first waves of California prisoner hunger strikes. You can reach WLNMP at the email w.l.nolen13@gmail.com or by mail through True Leap Press at True Leap Press, P.O. Box 408197, Chicago, Illinois 60640. You can also write to Kijana at Marcus Harrison, number H-54077, CMF Vacaville, wing number 342, P.O. Box 2000, Vacaville, California 95696. Currently, Kijana is facing dire conditions at Vacaville Medical Center, a smaller prison across the road from CSP Solano. 2 weeks ago, he was diagnosed with a heart blockage that requires immediate surgery. However, because of the COVID-19 crisis, he was turned away from the hospital and sent back to the prison, where he remains. At the facility where he is imprisoned, there is a relatively zero movement of prisoners happening, as everyone is being held in isolation. However, prisoners are not being allowed access to cleaning supplies, and it's a mixed bag in terms of guards taking the crisis seriously, and those who are not. He, along with countless people locked up at this facility, are at severe risk if the virus spreads through the prison. Free World and incarcerated supporters of Kijana's have organized a phone zap, demanding the following things. 1. That the surgery be performed and necessary medical protocols are followed. Kijana needs a stent in his heart. This is a serious condition. 2. That the proper precautions for his physical safety are made during Kijana's procedure. We demand that surgery is done in a sanitized and controlled environment to prevent contamination from coronavirus. 3. That Kijana be given adequate medication in light of the blockage revelation. He is currently only taking Tylenol. 4. We demand his immediate release, as his time locked up has been served threefold. This is key to his survival and a realistic demand, given that he is up for parole this year. If you choose to call, email, or write the governor's office, you're urged to connect this to the broader struggle for releasing elders, immune-compromised, and those who are vulnerable to the virus inside. Thus, demand number 5, that the Governor of California grant mass clemency and systemic release of all elders, immune-compromised, and those most vulnerable to COVID-19.
So can you tell us a little bit about who you are and briefly what it is that you're working on?
My name is Kijana Tashiri Askari. I'm a new African revolutionary, nationalist, political prisoner, as was the case with a number before me, George Jackson, Malcolm X, W.L. Nolen, Howard Toll. I came to prison and became politicized, as the politics inside prison are a microcosm of what's taking place out in society. Hence the need to resist institutional racism, police brutality, inadequate health care, and so on and so forth. These political activities had led to me being interned into indefinite solitary confinement for 21 consecutive years, from 1994 of August until 2015, November. I'm currently working on the WLNO Mentorship Program attempting to recruit personnel in administrative roles to help with publishing, to help with typing. I'm also working on my campaign for liberation, as I'm scheduled to go before the parole board in July 2021. What's needed is resources that will aid my transition back to Babylon. So that will be the focus point of this campaign to liberate Kijana Tashiri Askari from these camps.
Can you explain a little bit more about what your political development looked like? What was the context of it? What were the circumstances? Who were key people in your politicization and entrance into revolutionary consciousness?
Well, for me, when I came to prison, I, as along with others, was caught up in an American ideology, meaning the sub-criminal mentality. This mentality of being a criminal in my behavior and my thinking led me into the adjustment center in San Quentin, in and out of various administrative segregation units, as I was a typical reactionary coming from the streets of the Bay Area, Oakland, Berkeley, and so forth. During the course of my many stints inside and outside of the adjustment center in San Quentin, I met George Jackson's children. These brothers reached out to me and essentially saved my life. In a sense, they helped me identify and recognize I was headed down a path of self-destruction, to whereas the acts of violence that I was engaging in my communities, in prison, the acts of taking people's property, for economic reasons and so forth, was essentially harming me in relation to my community. Meaning, as I was destroying self, I was also harming community. These brothers shared with me a new way of living and helped me recognize my true potential of self. They taught me self-reliance. They taught me self-determination. One or two mentors that sticks out to was Bunchy Carter's younger brother, Fati Yaro, Hugo Yogi Bear Pinnell, Paul Jones, Richard Wayne Bay Johnson, and a number of brothers. These brothers was instrumental in having the patience with me to understand self, to become self-aware of self in relation to my communities and so forth, to help me on a path of redemption, to where now I'm taking the time to invest back into the communities, to invest back in self that I once was on the path of destroying and terrorizing.
So could you tell us a little more about the WLNO Mentorship Program? Who is WLNO? How did your organization get started?
The WLNO Mentorship Program was formally constructed, the idea was formally brought about in 2012 through discussions with various New Afrikan Revolutionary that was interned with me in Pelican Bay SHU. I took the idea to Comrade Twitch of Central Texas ABC, an anarchist organization, and we dialogued back and forth along the ideas. Also, Comrade Dylan Rodriguez was instrumental because he has been getting at me some correspondence regarding the need of, yes, we know who George Jackson is, but we don't know who today's revolutionary is, meaning who are George Jackson's children? Who are his children who have long been forgotten and the state has attempted to wipe away our history from the pages of the history books by keeping us consigned indefinitely to solitary confinement. So the WLNO Mentorship Program was constructed to make the community aware that the struggle and the legacy that George Jackson and W.L. Nolen, Joker Katari, Golden, William Christmas, Hugo, and all the struggle and sacrifices that these brothers have put forth is still alive in the world today. But nonetheless, we have been forgotten due to the diabolical means of being interned in domestic torture chambers in Pelican Bay SHU. So we're aiming to connect with the community to help the community transform, meaning our communities are suffering economically, our communities are suffering socially, and this is based on the criminality of crime that exists in our communities. We have been taken away from today's generation, so we will be obstructed from providing them with the necessary guidance and helping them find their true potential in self. So this is what the WLNO Mentorship Program does. We offer mentorship on violence prevention, alternatives to joining gangs, alternatives to alcohol and drug abuse, support for single mothers who have been abandoned due to the genocide that's been affected upon our community by destroying the family households, where New African men as well as women now are being taken up out the household, thus creating an imbalance in the New African Black family household as well as our communities. So this is what the WLNO Mentorship Program aims to do. It aims to transform the criminal mentality into a revolutionary mentality. It aims to transform capitalist thinking to socialist thinking, to where we're pulling from each end of the chain to help each other. The issues of one is the issues of the community, and this is how we aim to bring health and balance back into our households, our community, and thus the individuals living in them.
So what are some future plans that you have for the WLNO Mentorship Program? What are specific needs of the group at this time?
The specific needs is we need administrative personnel. Specific needs is we need financial support, meaning our current demographic is primarily prisoners behind walls, but we aim to reach East College campuses. We aim to reach the fabrics of our community. To do that, we need financial support. To do that, we need people who are willing to invest their time in us, because investing your time in the WLNO Mentorship Program is investing back into your community. It's taking time to help build and redeem what the capitalist system has laid upon us via a path of domestic genocide.
What do you see as the key components of the prison struggle in North America being today? Like, what are the key sites? What are the key issues? What do you see as the main pillars of the prison struggle today?
Well, main pillars that I see is, if you look back at the hunger strikes in 2011 and 2013, it brought about a sense of awareness of the domestic genocide and human rights abuses that we're dealing with inside the system. Essentially, we was able to pull the blankets back and expose this corrupt system for what it is. And inside of that, it brought about prisoner solidarity. But, however, we have yet to build from that momentum, meaning we need to develop infrastructures, cadres, to continue to carry out various objectives for the contradictions that was exposed. For example, you look at the parole board that has been systematically denying prisoners parole under the guise of prisoners being threats to society. Now, largely, the pool of prisoners that's going before the board have long surpassed their time, have remained disciplinary free, are now elderly with various health ailments and so forth, as in the case with comrade Shikawa, Matambo Jamal, who just had a stroke and is paralyzed. The system is saying this brother still poses a threat to society, and they have yet to declare him for medical relief, despite this man now being paralyzed after coming to prison in his early 20s. So we need people to understand the importance of building these infrastructures, meaning human bridges, captive and non-captive, to where we can qualitatively address this contradiction of allowing and ensuring, but more importantly, demanding that prisoners be liberated from these camps after our time has served, and to expose the arbitrary subjective labels of being a threat and what isn't a threat to our communities. We have developed a proposal of the Community Release Board. We need people behind us. We need the community behind us because we are long overdue for liberation from these camps. We have more than did and completed everything that the system has asked us. So it's about monopoly capitalism, meaning the system is intended to continue to control our livelihoods under the false premise of labeling us threats to our community when there's no record of violence, there's no record of disciplinary behavior that will qualify these arbitrary labels of us being so-called threats to society. So that's what I see needed. Human bridges, cadre development. We need these organizations that are for prisoners' rights to actually connect with and engage prisoners on the issues that we identified to them. This is how we were successful with the hunger strikes. The coalition that we organized came to us and amplified our voices. They didn't just come to us and then strategize their own thoughts and opinions. They actually took what we gave them and brought it to the community. And this is how we was able to shut down the solitary confinement units as we used to know them today.
And that's key. Could you maybe explain a little more about that concept, the idea of human bridges, and how human bridges are what sustain the prison movement? So you gave the example of the Pelican Bay strike, but because it's been a long-standing thing, right? The idea of it's all one struggle at base. Inside-outside struggle is one movement moving together. And so the human bridges seem like they're kind of like the key factor or kind of animating force that allows for the movement to grow and spread. So maybe could you explain a little more about the importance? Because I know you could probably talk all day. You could probably give a seminar on these human bridges. Could you maybe break that down a little more for us, for the listeners?
Oh, yeah, most definitely. What I mean is, if you go back and read Blood in My Eye by George Jackson, when he talking about a united front, see, we all come to the point of being revolutionaries, activists, progressives, and so forth. But the thing we got to realize is, what do we have in common? And as opposed to our differences, and allow ourselves to move past our pride and ego and sacrifice our time and energy towards our collective goals and our objectives. Meaning, if you are about prisoners' right abolition, you should find some prisoner in one of the states, many gulags throughout North America, and personally get to know that individual. If that individual has demonstrated that he's actively seeking to change their conditions, they're struggling to fight conditions inside these camps. Essentially, building these human bridges is what myself, Comrade Casey Goonan, Dylan Rodriguez, these are comrades that have taken the time to get to know me, to take the time to bring ideas to fruition, and allowing us to be effective in our struggle to essentially abolish prisons as we know them, and in particular human rights abuses abroad. For example, when I'm talking about cadre development, for example, prisoners may talk about a prisoner guard utilizing excessive force. We need teams inside these various organizations, to where we're doing phone zaps or phone trees, email trees, cadres whose central focus is on these issues of excessive force, as opposed to having these individuals taking on several issues at one time, which generally leaves the issues unresolved or being ineffective in one's effort, meaning with cadre development, we need organizational structure to where the aims, purpose, and objectives are clearly defined and whose role is what. Meaning, if we have a cadre of individuals dealing with excessive pig brutality, inadequate food, inadequate medical and health care, these cadres need to be compartmentalized, and their tasks need to be given according to, but more importantly, having these individuals trained in these cadres, because you cannot drive a car on the road without being certified or having a driver's license. So we need political education classes on the point of what is a cadre. A lot of individuals who call themselves activists or part of these activist groups do not have any cadre training. So therefore, we cannot really hold them responsible in a sense of why these human bridges have not came to fruition. So we need to take the time to have political education classes to develop cadres and train personnel to certify them on the work they're doing. Because, again, you cannot drive a motorized vehicle on the road without being certified. You cannot become a doctor and be licensed to diagnose people without first being certified. You cannot perform, a heart surgeon cannot perform open heart surgery without first going to school and being certified. So it's the same thing with being a revolutionary. It's the same thing with being an activist, a progressive. We need education, political education, to train the individuals who have very good intentions, very good heart, and a mind to want to aid, but the distinction has to be made that how you going about doing it, to where we're not wasting resources and people's time. You know, we want to be effective because, you know, who knows? The window of opportunity may be small, so we need to take advantage of these opportunities, and when we are called upon to assist one another.
I think that's beautiful, comrade. So I guess just any last thoughts, any last things you want to say? Are there maybe you can direct people to like a website, maybe the Facebook page or something? Yeah, I'll let you just have the mic. Yeah.
Okay, for those individuals who are interested in learning more about Kijana Tashiri Askari and the work I do along the lines with the WLNO Mentorship Program, you may contact me at email w.l.nolen13@gmail.com. You may also go to www.KijanaTashiriAskari.wordpress.com. And I would like to give a clenched fist salute to Casey Goonan, Dylan Rodriguez, Twitch, and all the rest of the comrades that's been standing in solidarity with us. Y'all work is greatly appreciated, although at times I know it can be frustrating. But hey, freedom is a constant struggle. There has to be sacrifices given somewhere along the lines. All power to the people.
This is The Final Straw, and I'm Bursa Gunas. This show will later be archived at thefinalstrawradio.noblogs.org, and you can email us with questions and suggestions at thefinalstrawradio@riseup.net or thefinalstrawradio@protonmail.com. If you'd like to use any episode for your project or radio show, feel free to do so. Just send us an email to let us know. If you care to, you can send us letters at The Final Straw Radio, P.O. Box 6004, Asheville, North Carolina, 28816. This show is brought to you by Firestorm Books and Coffee. Located at 610 Haywood Road, Firestorm Books and Coffee is a worker-owned co-op in Asheville specializing in offbeat, underground, and independent literature. You can find a catalog of Firestorm's books and zines, plus a full calendar of events up at their website, firestorm.coop.